I understand now. Oh, hi everyone. I guess you can hear me. I didn't even realize I was not muted anymore. Thank you so much for joining us today. Like we shared, we're trying to do a Zoom film because this book kind of started on Zoom. And so why not present it on Zoom as well? So whoever would like to go first, unmute yourself. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick someone. Hello, Kim, I see you.
Hi, everyone. Is it best that I introduce myself?
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim. I would consider myself a writer, a cultural worker, and a critical media scholar. I'm from the US, born and bred in Ohio, and but I've been based in Cape Town, South Africa for 3 years. Where my work has taken on the similar avenues, mostly between the intersection of Black arts and Black politics, or politics that concern Black and colonized people. So the poem that I am reading is titled "No One Ever Tells You What to Do with the Atrocities," and I'll go into it. So no one ever tells you what to do with the atrocities, but the impulse is often to gather them all up, race to write them down, race faster to comprehend, take days and weeks and years memorizing the atrocities, make connections across corporations, nation states, neighborhoods, individuals, your family, your namelessness, your stories, the stories you will never hear from your grandfather but will see in everything he does. Remind yourself that the physical matter of this earth is the despise of you, and that language can't capture unspeakable violence, the kind of violence that makes you go quiet, the kind of cruelty that is so unbelievable that you wonder why there isn't a revolt every half second. And once you have gathered up all the atrocities you can hold in your arms, you say to anyone, look at this. Can you believe this? Can you believe that the apartheid regime had a biochemical wing of the government that aimed to exterminate Black people, and those people just said sorry and kept owning all of the land, all the shops, all the corporations, the TV stations, and the newspapers? Can you believe there are hundreds of Indigenous children under what Canada calls schools? Can you believe that white people in the US made postcards out of lynchings as souvenirs well into the mid-1900s? Can you believe that white nation after white nation has worked tirelessly to suppress and control Haiti? Can you believe that Israel forcibly sterilized hundreds of Ethiopian immigrants in 2013? Can you believe Breonna Taylor's police report listed her injuries as none, even though she was shot 8 times and left unattended and clinging to life for at least 15 minutes? Can you believe that George Zimmerman sold the gun he killed Trayvon Martin with for over $100,000? Can you believe that 3 million students go to schools in the US with cops, but not with nurses? Can you believe the DA government sent orders to demolish people's homes during winter, during a pandemic, during an eviction moratorium? Many, my people, will not need to go far to believe. You will not need to go through any of the above list. And once you've emptied your arms of all the atrocities you could hold for that day, no one tells you what to do with the ironies that are now on your doorstep. Like how Cyril Ramaphosa was a trade union organizer and 30 years later oversaw the murder of 34 mine workers, or that Cadillac started funding Black Lives Matter celebrity activists who tell us to electric slide across museums owned by racist turned liberal for pay white people, or that Barack Obama humanized so many of us and at the very same moment vowed to kill so many more of us, or that people will get burned in the fires set in defense of billionaire rapists, or that Chimamanda turned out to be the bad guy. Listing all of these things doesn't seem to change the pattern. You keep stacking because it keeps happening. As you stack the violence, the atrocity, the catastrophe, the irony, they take up all the space. They suck all the air out the room. They take up the size of your kitchen, then the bathroom, then every home on the block, then the whole neighborhood. Maybe the whole size of South Africa or DRC or Brazil, or maybe at that point, it becomes clear that it is not about the atrocities or the ironies at all, but about the question of where we are going to find dignity in a world where the arc of history bends towards those with private security and private property. And will the fire of revolution keep you warm? So,
MPUMELELO, what's happening?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? I am MNGADI. I am born and raised in KwaZulu-Natal in a small town or a small area called Amahlongwa. I am currently living in Khayelitsha, Cape Town. I am a pharmacist by capitalism, but I consider myself a writer, a creative, and a multidimensional storyteller. And this poem is one of the first few poems that I've written in connection to being trans and in connection to how I navigate the world. Yes, okay. The name of this poem, by the way, is called Where Do You Put Your Transness? Now that you've taken it out the closet, where do you put your transness? When you go home, where do you put your transness? Do you place it just beneath your skin, or does it hang a little too much over your shoulder blades? The last time you let it loose, they called an identity crisis. When you walk into the world, where do you put your transness? Do you keep it in your bones? Do you keep it in your joint, your spine, every vertebra, so it can hold you up? Because you know you need it to stand in a world that wants you erased. When in conversation, where do you put your transness? Does it linger at the back of your throat to correct them? Does it cover the lining of your belly so you can stomach the violence you are force-fed? Or do you let your belly swell up in anger? In the nightclub, do you keep it just below the waist so it can gyrate till the sun comes out? In your loving, in your living, in your friendships, in your day-to-day being, in your not belonging and in your belonging, in your surviving, in your joy, and in your unrelenting spirit. Where do you put your transness?
Thank you so much, MPUMELELO.
I'm Susanna. Since we're all sharing what we do, for a living, I'm a lawyer, and I work specifically in equity, diversity, and inclusion with the law, the society that regulates all the lawyers in my province. But before that, for the last 7 years, I was a divorce lawyer. Outside of what I do to make money, I love writing. I share in small poetry circles in the city that I live in, and did that throughout law school as well. So, and I love reading, and this is my favorite kind of sharing of poetry, is hearing it orally from the authors. So to those who've already shared, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I was born in a little twin island republic called Trinidad and Tobago, but I've lived in Canada for most of my life. So, and that's where I come from to you today, actually across the country from where I live, visiting my parents. So I will, the poem that I'm going to be reading is called Planted. I know You know, my African friends come for me with the plantain, but we say plantain. So that's how I'll be pronouncing it. But we can have the debate later. But I like the sound of it both ways. Plantain. The crackle and pop of coconut oil in the pan, awaiting your arrival. Peeled, I slice you repeatedly, thick enough to fit between my fingers, thin enough to slip between my lips, laying each yellow piece of you into the hot bubbling soup. I relish in the sizzle. Slowly, your edges caramelize. Your middle becomes striped with bands of golden brown and charcoal. Silver prongs sink into you, turning you over to the sound of more sizzle. Your other side browning in the heat. Transformed, you travel to a desert bed of paper, soaking up your oily coat. Seconds later, you are on my tongue. The heat, almost unbearable. The heat, delicious. My teeth find their way past your crispy exterior and to your succulent, sugary middle. Sweetness come alive. Frito. I scrub your skin with warm soapy water. Patting you dry, my knife divides you in half. Salt crystals becoming one with the hot sea of fire. Each half of you slips into the rolling wave. Small splashes of water begging to be free. The rising steam fogging up my glasses. Your honeyed aroma fills my nostrils. I salivate, impatiently waiting for you to beckon me. Time ticks on, and I know. Until you are ready, you are not mine. I drive my blade into your heart. You resist, but only lightly, lifting you out of the oil bath. Delicately, I strip you of your thick skin. Your sunset yellow insides greet me. Your fragrant, starchy center reveals itself. I slice a small disc of your banana-shaped body. Steam floats up towards my mouth. The taste of your fruit holds my tongue in a warm embrace. I chew softly, drifting away, surrendering to your sweetness. Delectability embodied. Hervido.
Thank you. We've spoke about how much I love that poem, and I didn't know food could be so sexy. And also, it's plantain. I've never seen one grow, but I don't know what plantain is. It's plantain. That is where I stand. We'll have this discussion later.
The debate will continue forever, forever.
I think so, plantain.
So my name is Chloe CHENAULT. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a coordinator in talent acquisition. And poetry has just become more and more a love of mine since I went through some situations in my life. It just led me to want to share about my experiences. You know, I realized more and more how we all experience pain on a different level, and especially energy comes in different forms. And this just helps me to to balance myself, and just makes me feel better. So the poem I'm reading is, it's called 1919 to 1991. I'll start. Because my skin is darker, I was told to marry lighter by my Gigi, so my babies wouldn't be too black, so my babies wouldn't be harmed, so lighter people wouldn't be afraid. The truth is, my Gigi, whose skin was light, married light and loved someone dark. The truth is, my babies would be made in the image of a king, and that would make someone feel very uncomfortable. Dark, black, and love, a scary, beautiful thought. The truth is, My Gigi was tired of shaking them up and receiving no response. My Gigi was sick, abused, and tired of wading in the water and never getting dry. Now, my Gigi has tried to pass on her tired to me, and I won't hold it. I am going to be dark Black and fighting to my last breath. And who I love is going to be dark Black and fighting until theirs. That's all.
Thank you so much, Chloe.
Okay, just, I'll put this here. Just, this working? Yeah, this is working. For some reason, I feel more comfortable standing up, so I will just do that. My name is ELODIE PARTHENAY. I'm a poet and writer. I was born in France, but I've been living in Canada most of my adult life. I write about human relationships, very fascinating to me, whether it's about love or loss or lust or friendship or, you know, that kind of sisterhood that you can build. I do write about that. So the poem that I'm about to write you is called Aworthia. It's about the space between love and realizing what you've lost. Ever since you've left town, I've been growing things. I've been growing myself, big fat roots digging into an enriched soil, ripe fruits bent towards the sun, the pleasures of a simple life well lived. Every living thing thriving except that plant you gave me on your last day. This one's a little bitch. Hell-bent on not surviving, refusing to comply. I scream at it as I sweat to please it. I've tended soul, its spot, its water intake, gave it too much attention, then too little, folding myself to fit needs I can't comprehend. It's personal at this point. Maybe it's a lesson in adaptability and patience. Maybe I just don't know when to call it quits. Maybe I should learn to let a good thing die. Maybe I'm the one who's silently unsatisfied, wishing my handler would mind read my needs and desires, dying a little each day it doesn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can go next. Okay, so can you hear me? Okay, so my name is MUTHONI and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I am currently a student of development studies and philosophy. I am also interested in research about African heritage. So that's what I do for work. I'm a poet. I started out doing spoken word, but then I started to like writing down my poems more. I write about everything. It helps me just move through life and exist. The poem I'm gonna read to you is called 3. I wrote it for a friend. So here we go. 3, for us. Reaching across space-time, we are still here. Loving, crying, laughing, we are still here. Breathing, speaking, reaching. Before there were clenched fists, there were arms reaching. I am still here. I am your friend. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Whoever wants to go next, please go. Also, it's really nice seeing all of your faces. LAVONNA, how you doing, family?
I'm doing well. I'm on my phone. Okay. My name is LAVONNA WRIGHT. I am a poet by nature, writer, scholar, and womanist. I'm currently a master's student of English at Georgia Southern University. Georgia is also my hometown. I found poetry as a way to share my voice and believe in my voice. It kind of came naturally to me. And so I've been doing this since I was 14, and it's been an honor to grow as a poet. The poet I'll be reading today is called Our Mother's Dressers. My mother's reflection smiles at her in the looking glass, inheriting the ritual of dressing herself with perfumes and lotion, and her ancestor smiles. Her auntie stares back at her, lovingly as always. Lovingly as always, does she recall our matching school photos? We coexist with family we do not know. This dresser belonged to my grandmother. Before that, I do not know. I do not know how the dresser becomes a time capsule for what we love and have loved. A place of worship for that love. My mom would tell you she only believes in God. In God's shadow do I find shelter. In God's shadow do we turn to instinct, to honor life lived on top of our mother's dressers. Our mother's dressers, these living altars.
Thank you so much for that. I always think about that poem, and I think about growing up and being at my mother's dresser all the time, and her little lipsticks and things, and trying on everything and being told off. So yeah, thank you so much for that poem. Whoever wants to go next? Well, you're messy. How you doing, my family?
Hello everyone. My name is YEMEECE. I am a Nigerian-born writer and poet. I moved to the United States about 7 years ago, and currently I'm on my way to becoming a therapist. But in the meantime, poetry is what I call the love of my life right now. And I write about the self. I write about emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and poetry is just one of those mediums where I used to communicate with my patients and expand, make you look into yourself. So the poem I'm going to be reading today is called Metamorphosis. And it's a very short poem, but again, it's about the self. So I'll start. Everything beautiful comes from the dirt. The butterfly, the gold, the lotus, the hurt, you. Thank you.
Some of you were included in the Center season 8, as well as the Thinking in Cardboard. And it's so funny because that poem became a song, like it got stuck in everyone's head. Oh, hello, ZIZIPHO.
Hi, my name is ZIZIPHO Bam. I am a writer. I'm a copywriter by day and a poet, as well as a storyteller. I'm a visual storyteller. I love art. I like to travel. Yeah, and the rest is improvised. Like I take it as it goes. Yeah, I was born in East London in a small town in the Eastern Cape, but I'm currently based in Cape Town. So interestingly enough, September is Suicide Awareness Month in South Africa. I think internationally as well, I'm not sure. but I found that quite relevant in terms of the poem that I was going to recite today, because it speaks about coming to terms with suicide and trying to understand like why one would take their lives. So that's what the poem is about. This is called Blackburn South Point Student Accommodation. Strange things have grown out of the ground. Stranger things have fallen out of the sky. A garden sprouts from a single seed, or a figure offers itself to the sky. Is it possible for a flower to grow inward, like the place we go to hide within ourselves? Is there a special kind of love that comforts the emptiness there? Are there gardens we have grown only for our hearts to breathe in, where nobody else enters but our fears and faults? A story of love and courage is filled with sacrifice, makes our feet forget when we are facing ourselves upside dangling, marks our lives meaningful when we stare with our heads behind our necks at all we have left. I believe she felt the ground was too heavy for her. I think she knew she could fly elsewhere and never return. I know all she wanted was to be as light as air. Perhaps to find it, she had to give herself to the sky. Thank you.
Oh, I guess we left. We started off with a poem about atrocities, and then we're going to end with two heavy poems. And one of the heaviest poems in this book is by LEWA. So thank you so much for that, ZIZIPHO. LEWA.
Hi, everyone. My name is LEWA. I'm a Motswana writer and poet. By profession, I am an accountant. I'm currently studying for a professional accounting course. And the title of my poem is Thins. I wrote this poem after I lost someone who was very close to my heart. And the thing is, when someone you love goes, when they pass away, or with grief, or when you lose something, not just a loved one, you remember so many things about that person. But in the same breath, the things do remember. So yeah, let me get to it. Your purple robe lies on the sofa, wanting to be worn, to take form on your body. I picture you standing by the stove, stirring soup overcrowded with vegetables. I hated it, but it's all I crave lately. I don't want lonely soup that disappears in my bowl of rice. Even the smell of your delicious carrot cake stays stubbornly in my nostrils. The walls anchor themselves with your laughter. Your shoes don't want to lose the dent of your footing. Your weird handwriting is marred on my memories. Everything comes alive when you're gone. A life lost, but spread in the things you touched, all breaking out in a requiem, a ceremonial chant. I guess things mourn their owner too. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to tell everyone the book is looking beautiful. So I'm very proud of all of us. And I love that you guys are getting to hear each other's poems here. Away from where, who has given me the most trouble? This person.
Sorry.
You will see when the book comes out. Everyone seems to write in their different styles. Maroon writes poems in column style. So the whole poem fits on one page, but it's side by side. So when you're ready, go for it.
Okay, cool. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so my name is Maron. I'm reading Out of Office. No shadows can exist without light, and dishes don't clean themselves, an old African proverb. Sponge on ceramic does much for the mental, demonstrating how to welcome and release debris. And clandestine is she who heals at the faucet and kneels in showers, inundated with grief. See, her name is CC'd on messages that seem void of awareness or care. And to respond today would require fingers and neurons, troops, many of whom cannot be spared. The rebel forces advance. Thank you.
So, thank you everyone for joining us today. This has been incredible. As you'll see the book, there are 5 different chapters, and some of your poems fit in some of the chapters. So it starts off with a chapter about rituals and practices, and then it goes on to a chapter about inheritance and the things that we want to pass on. Then it goes to a chapter about being, just existing in our bodies. So, and then the second chapter is wound. So a lot of y'all, if you have a sad poem, just know it's going to be in wound. Just know it's going to be in wound. And then the last chapter is tender. So the joyful poems. But thank you all so much. Any last questions or thoughts about the film now or never? But again, thank you all. You're all brilliant, incredible. I hope you enjoyed this and you felt connected to these poems and understand how you all sort of belong in the same book, even though you're in different places, which is really, really exciting. Like Botswana, South Africa, Canada, the States, Canada, States, you know, everywhere else. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for your time. You can always contact me if there's anything that comes up, if you don't want to raise your hand now. But I'm sending you all my love for the rest of this week. And we're ending the meeting.